Hi and welcome to Spookier Celluloid. This is Spooky Celluloid's second channel. I am Spooky Celluloid himself, and I wanted to do this project for a while now, where I basically use my second channel as a way to post these very lazy, or as I like to call them, old school reviews, where I basically just press record, ramble on, not edit anything, and just talk about movies that I would not really talk about on my main channel, where, by the way, if you're new here, my main channel has a very well produced videos. This is not an example of what I can do. But yeah, these are for when I feel like talking about films that I usually don't really cover on that channel or that I just want to ramble on. And today, since it was close to Valentine's Day, I'm just busy right now, so during Valentine's Day itself, I didn't watch this film, which I usually try to do. I wasn't on a Valentine's hot date. I was working on an essay about Imperial Russia. And that is, of course, the movie I'm going to talk about today is, of course, My Bloody Valentine, a Canadian classic. Now, this is the original, not the remake. And quickly before I start going into too much details, yes, I do enjoy the remake. It has its moments, I think, and I did watch the remake first when I was getting into horror because it was about the time it was released, 2009. I was a bit not into horror, but like 2011, 2012, and I enjoy the remake for what it is. However, ever since I've watched the original, I kind of forgot what the remake was. And this is the version to get since it has the uncut edit of the film. The first time I saw this was on the old Lionsgate DVD, and it was cut to kind of butchered, let's be honest. It doesn't look like it in the edit, but there is a lot of gore missing that is available on this new edition, well, this old new edition, and it's quite pleasing to see. So, the film. What is it about? Well, the story is that in 1960, in the town of Valentine's Bluff, there was this Valentine's dance, and Valentine's Bluff is a mining town, so people were working at the mine, but they were too excited for the party, because it's 1960s in a small town, so I assume a lot of them were excited to finally get laid, and they were too excited. They left some man in the mine. There was an explosion, a gas leak, something like that, and there was only one survivor who survived for 6 weeks, eating his other miners. So he ate miners, and that's how he survived, and that person was Harry Warden. He was sent to a psych ward for a year, and then he decided to take his revenge on the peoples of Valentine's Bluff, and he murdered the two people that left them in the mine. Moving on to 20 years later, the town of Valentine's Bluff is ready to restart the old tradition of a Valentine's dance, but the curse of Harry Warden will stop them from doing so as the town folks start getting killed one by one. Now, this is a pretty quick synopsis of the film, and I assume most people have seen this movie. It's kind of considered a 80s slasher staple. I think it was released in 1981, which was an important year for horror and slashers. And how does this one compare to its contemporaries? I couldn't really tell you. I'm not good with years. All I can say is that this is, if not my favorite slasher of all time, it's definitely up there with Sleepaway Camp and The Burning. I think I have this one gets the slight edge. This is a Canadian production, produced by the people at Cinepix, so André Link and John Dunning, which are two legends of the Canadian exploitation movement, and their website is up, and you can actually read some articles from press, you can read the script, and there is some photos on their website that I discovered like last week, which is an important archive of anything that has to do with Cinepix. and they even include the budget. So this was kind of high budget for Cinepix, since this was a production that cost about 1.8 million, and it shows that they spent their money well. This is quite different from what you're used to with modern day slashers, as in the characters are very likable. They're these two main guys, Axel and TJ. TJ is the son of the mayor who also owns the mine, because Valentine's Bluff is one of those towns that's like an industry town where the old town is based around the mine. And he comes back after trying to do something in the West Coast and failed, so he comes back to work at the mine. But during that time, Axel, his rival, got with the girl that he was dating before he left, and there's some tension between them. And the girl Sarah is actually one of my favorite characters in the film. She's very undecided about what to do, if she wants to date Axel or TJ. And then you have all of the friends, all of the other miners, who are honestly so goddamn likable. That makes, in my opinion, a good slasher, because when they die, you actually feel bad for them. It's not like a modern day, how do I say it without sounding like a boomer, but like let's just say, I don't know, a modern day slasher that like Hostel or Cabin Fever, or let's take those, where you hate the characters so much that you just want to see them die. And this one, you actually want most of them to survive. However, the gore that's in this uncut edition does make a good argument for you wanting to see them die, since the gore is pretty fucking incredible in this one. There are lots of scenes that I wasn't expecting. There is a dummy death, which I kind of like those, where the dummy gets decapitated and then falls. There is a pickaxe to the fucking chin, and then the eye pokes out. It's honestly, the gore is the highlight of the film, but it's a well-written and fun movie too, so you enjoy it through and through. You're not just here for the kills, you're here for the relationship between the characters. The mayor and the sheriff are actually very well played. I'm not good with actors, so I couldn't tell you if they're like character actors from way back, but I just love them. Mabel, the old lady that plans the Valentine's dance, is so fucking cute. She's like your stereotypical grandma. Yeah, I really like the characters. I think the highlight of the film is truly its writing, which is surprising for a 1980s slasher. Because even though I love 80s slasher, which I fucking love slashers, it's one of my favorite horror subgenre, sometimes the plot can be a little convoluted and not make any sense. So yeah, I really like this one. What else can I say about it? The character of Harry Warden, who's this man who dresses up in the mining outfit, is kind of iconic at this point. There's a lot of iconic moments at this point with this film. I think it's one of those that kind of came into the mainstream that a lot of people tend to watch around this time of year, myself included. It's directed by George Malhaka, which I was lucky enough to meet. There's actually a My Bloody Valentine's poster right there that's signed by him, because I met him in Montreal, because, as I said, he's Canadian. And the feel of the small town in this film, now I love small town horror, I'm just gonna say that out there, I'm very biased. The Town That Dreaded Sundown is one of my favorite 70s horror film. For some reason, it's fucking dry and kind of boring, but I fucking love it. And this small town feels lived in. The characters feel like they're actually from that town. And it was shot in Nova Scotia. And the main character, TJ, has such a thick Canadian accent. I don't know, they try, like a lot of these Canadian films at the time, they try to make it American, but TJ has a thick Canadian accent, and they drink Moosehead, which is literally a Canadian beer. And the way they kind of made you think that this was American is that they wrote like imported on like the beer cases. But like, if you know what Moosehead is, you know it's fucking Canadian, and they don't even hide it. Like, how many Americans drink Moosehead beer? And that's basically the only beer they drink until the end of the end party, where they start to drink your typical Miller, Budweiser, and Alexander Keefe, which is another beer that's pretty much just Canadian. So they kind of don't really hide their Canadianness. And in the police station, I just realized this. I've seen this like 10 times and I've just realized it. But there's a wall of like all the police patches, and it's all Canadian towns. There's like my town in there, Ottawa. It's right up front and center. So it's kind of hilarious that it really tries not to be Canadian, but it is through and through. And it's honestly one of the better one of the best Canucksploitation, which is a genre that has a lot of great films. I'll probably talk more about those in the future on this channel. I spat. I don't want to take too much time. I've just been rambling on, so fuck it. I'll do ratings on this channel. This is a 10 out of 10, highly recommended. If you have a significant other that's into horror and somehow they haven't seen this one, and you want to start a new Valentine's tradition of getting blown while looking at people dying, be my guest. I think that's a good idea. Anyways, thank you for watching. Go subscribe to the main channel, and if you like these types of videos, subscribe to this one. See ya.